Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Scotty Mack, and you know what time it is, and you know what night it is. It's Tuesday Night Power, and it's the first ever edition with the Reality of Smoke merger. I'm telling you, fans all over the world are hyped up, tweaking, and I mean on the edge of their seats, ready for this show. Talking about it backstage with the superstars. It's one of the most anticipated events. Don't forget, it's not only tonight, it's Thursday night smoke as well. Gonna be a hell of a card, championship matches up and down that thing. But tonight, it's Tuesday night power, the first ever edition. And of course, I can't do this thing alone. I need my wingman. I need the guy that goes to bat for me when I don't know what to say. I need the former Apex champion, the former PWR World Heavyweight champion. I need Mr. Sprinkle, his little sazon everywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome my co-host. He's not going to be in the best mood right now. Puerto Rican Hector. Hector, how are you?
Awful.
Listen, we'll get into this. Look, I know you're upset today. I know you're not feeling it. Okay. Here's what I need you to do. I need you to take a deep breath, trust old Mackie Mac. And as soon as we go off the air, we're gonna address everything that's going on with you personally right now. Please just bear with me and let's rock the mic just for a little while, if you can.
I'm a professional and I'm here.
I'll try to keep the jokes to a minimum. I'll slide them in here and there when I can. We'll try to get through this again. We'll talk about it later, but we're all with you right now. Let's talk about Tuesday Night Power, the first ever Tuesday Night Power, live from the Mercedes-Benz Arena, Atlanta, Georgia. We had the place packed 70,000 plus. But before we get into the action that took place in the ring, Hector, it's always important that we take care of what took place outside of the ring. And, well, let's just say that Hammer never made it to the wrestling ring here in PWR because he had a little bit of a situation, they say, in the parking lot, Hector. And it was Mel, the motherfucking legend Walker, who clearly felt disrespected this week on social media. He talked about it as we saw Hammer getting out of his SUV and he was brutally attacked by Mel fucking Walker, the legend who had his right hand wrapped up in some kind of metal chain, Hector, as he drove the right hand, connecting right on the money, crushing a blow that took Hammer down quickly, and his head hit the hubcap of his own vehicle. Oh my gosh. You think you can shit on my home? Said Mel Walker as Mel yanked Hammer up off of the ground and pulled Hammer near a nearby dumpster. That's when we saw the arrival of none other than the PWR Tag Team Champions, the Postman T-Money, and of course, the man who used to go by the name The Villain from Venom, the Natural Nappy Boy, showing up on the scene just in time as each nailed Hammer with a few kicks of their own, adding insult to injury, as Mel then proceeded to lock in the vicious finisher known as the MKO, and he crushed Hammer with the brutal move, and all three superstars from Venom helped pick up the massive Hammer and throw him inside the garbage dumpster. Any thoughts on this, Hector?
What nationality is Hammer?
I do believe that I'm not sure. What does that have to do with this? Where are we going? I don't want to get canceled on our first edition here.
I just figured it would probably end with trash at the end. Good work, Mel.
Nonetheless, Hammer never, ever making his return to a PWR ring. Now, do want to remember fans that this Thursday night right here on YouTube, on the Reality of Smoke Network, Reality of Smoke presents Thursday Night Smoke. And it's going to be some special matchups, including the two tag team champions that we just mentioned, Nappy Boy and T-Money, as they put their tag team championships on the line against none other then Quan Su and Mr. Adams. Let's plug that a little bit. Thursday Night Smoke this Thursday, the first ever edition of Thursday Night Smoke. And listen, I talked to Lorenzo Benzo earlier. We were talking about your situation amongst other things. He's very excited for this Thursday Night Smoke debut. A ton of big time matches on this thing. Any message to anybody out there thinking that they could just come into reality of smoke just because, or come and not deliver what they're expected, because there was clearly a message sent by Venom here before the show even started?
Put on your boots and come to work or get the fuck out.
A man of few words today, and I can't blame him. We'll talk more about his situation in a little bit, guys. I'm not getting my usual Hector, of course, but it's understandable. We'll get to that in just a bit. The first matchup of the night, however, was a big one that featured T.C. Adams versus the North Star Big Hurt, Hector. And I knew we talked about the incident that took place on the show. You were excited for this one, that we will be opening up a new era of Tuesday Night Power under the ROS banner with a banger. This one was going to be a big time clash between two superstars that were in different phases of their careers here, but meeting at such a pivotal, important time. We will surely be seeing one hell of a matchup tonight. These two did not let us down as they lived up to the incredible build leading up into this one, as fans geared up for a superb matchup between the North Star and T.C. Adams. Big Hurt waited in the ring with his black mask covering his face, saying that he is still ashamed to be seen in public after his loss in his hometown, D.C., for the World Heavyweight Championship to Ethan Carnage, of course. But that's when T.C. Adams' music hit, and the entire arena stood to their feet in anticipation for one of the most must-see entrances today in sports entertainment, as T.C. Adams walked out to the ramp and fans just waited, and he made them wait just long enough before yelling out, "Believe!" And 70,000 plus, Hector, believe me, put their hand up as T.C. Adams soaked in this big time special moment for him on the debut of Tuesday Night Smoke. A truly incredible spectacle for those fans out there who've never seen it before. T.C. Adams' entrance live, something to see. Finally, these two superstars were in the ring, and T.C. Adams blurted out to the North Star, "Free yourself and take that mask off, Big Hurt." But Big Hurt nodded his head no and replied, "Not until I feel like I'm ready." The bell then signified the beginning of this matchup, and Adams held his hand out to Big Hurt, who reluctantly shook it, and the fans loved this sign of respect between these two superstars. Something different around this place. The action started with TC landing a few, I believe, open hand right hand chops right onto the chest of the North Star. Hurt backpedaled into a corner where T.C. Adams then drove a knee to his midsection. Adams tried to grab Hurt by the arm and Irish whip him, but Big Hurt was too massive and powerful as he reversed the move and sent Adams instead flying into the opposite turnbuckle. T.C. Adams staggered out as Big Hurt lifted him and drove him down hard with the suplex. He quickly pinned T.C. for the one, the two, but Adams was still very strong at this point and kicked out as Hurt then took this opportunity to eyeball the official through his all-black mask. Of course, Big Hurt picked up T.C. Adams and set him up for a Dexter Manley spear that connected and nearly ripped T.C. in two pieces. He quickly pinned T.C. Adams again for the one, the two, but he kicked out again, seeming even stronger in this kick out as fans started getting more and more behind the I Believe movement. The North Star was growing more and more frustrated and tried to win the fans back over as he went to the fans and did the bigger, sexier grind. But the fans in this one seemed to be favoring, or should I say, believing more in T.C. Adams. And that distraction cost Big Hurt as TC Adams connected with the redeemed V-trigger knee right to Big Hurt's skull. Then Adams held up his hand and said, "I believe," as fans echoed the rising superstar, and Adams reached his hand out right on Hurt's mask, locking in the iron claw to the skull of the Big Hurt. Big Hurt went down to the mat and finally buckled to his back as the referee was right in position and counted quickly for the 1, the 2, the 3 as the arena erupted for this huge upset. And the winner of this matchup, I believe in TC Adams. But that's when we saw Hector, the daughter of the Big Hurt, Tapu Lele, who was making appearances with him all week on social media, running down to ringside and sliding inside the ring, almost hovering and protecting her father from more damage, possibly from TC Adams. But Adams made his intentions clear. "I'm here to help him, young lady. I can redeem him." At first, Tapu Lele seemed confused, but then she dug inside her conscience deep and allowed Adams to hover over her father, the North Star, and put his hands on the head of Big Hurt. He then quickly snatched off the black mask as Hurt tried to cover his face, ashamed. Tapu Lele and TC Adams both assured Big Hurt it would be just fine, as Adams said, "You are free now, Hurt. It's time to accept who you are and what you are," said TC Adams, who then quickly, abruptly left the ring as we went to commercial break. Hector, what an amazing opening matchup. Besides the action in the ring, TC Adams getting what many would say is an upset victory here, but then he allowed himself, or should I say, the daughter of Big Hurt allowed her father to be somewhat redeemed, it seemed like. What do you take from all this, Hector?
Congratulations on your big victory, Mr. Adams. And hopefully, with this loss, Big Hurt wakes up and gets his shit together.
Oh, I'm getting a tweet here. Yeah. Yeah. They're saying I need to get you Adderall or something. We need to get you something. Listen, they don't know what's going on yet. We'll get to that in a second. Listen, leave Hector alone right now, guys. It's not the time or the place. What is the time and the place is for match 2, ladies and gentlemen. Another one. Another big opening night matchup between two superstars who seem to have history with one another. I'm talking about the Masked Assassin set to clash one-on-one against KC Luchador. These two legends in pro wrestling were set to clash here in a new era of sports entertainment, the Reality of Smoke era. Tuesday Night Power was already trending after that interesting opening matchup and what took place there between TC Adams and Big Hurt. I'm sure there's much more to come from that. Both the Masked Assassin and Casey Luchador were both in the ring, and just like they vowed on social media that they would do, they went out and literally put on a show, Hector. Early on in the match, it was all Masked Assassin as he came flying off the ropes into Casey Luchador with the Flying Virginia Gunslinger forearm that rocked Casey Luchador. He followed this up with the textbook body slam and then also a nasty leg drop connecting clean on KC, who he pinned for the 1. But it was a strong kick out early on in this one from KC Luchador. Did I say Luchador? Luchador. Listen, the Masked Assassin tried to get Casey up to his feet, but he was met with a strike right to the nose and a nasty drop kick from the KC native. KC winded up the arm of the Masked Assassin and then took him down hard with the clothesline. But before Luchador would follow up, this is when it got interesting because he rushed to the outside of the ring by the announce table, by where you and me usually sit, and he reached his hand out in the direction of me, Scotty Mac, and said, "Come on, Mac. I told you he wouldn't show up or even make the appearance in the ring. Run that paper." Apparently, Casey was referring to a wager me and him made about Hammer actually making a PWR debut. And KC voted against this appearance, and so I owed him a couple notes. That's when I pleaded with KC. Couldn't we do this off camera? But KC insisted of closing out the deal when the deal was done. As he said, "No, I'm really busy, boss," said KC Luchador. I'm sure he is. God. Casey finally put the money in his boot and then went up to the top turnbuckle and was setting up for some high-flying Carlos and more luchador shit and dived off recklessly with a splash. But the masked assassin saw this coming from a mile away and rolled out of harm's way. The fans stood on their feet as the masked assassin held up the signal to the sold-out arena for the natural trigger 7. He waited for KC to stand and crushed him with the move. He then quickly pinned Luchador the Gambler for the 1, the 2, the 3, the winner of this contest, the Masked Assassin. This was a big win for the Masked Assassin, but after the match, again, KC Luchador seemed to be perfectly fine with the results and even was taking a bet from a nearby cameraman who works for ROS after the match. Any thoughts on this new line of work that KC Luchador seems to be invested in?
Well, it can't be any worse than what he does in the ring. So there's that. But congratulations, Mass, whoever. And yeah.
So much for the color today, ladies and gentlemen. So I have a question. Will we be taking any bets from KC Luchador to see if you get new shades here next week for the show?
I mean, hey, you gotta make him. You gotta let him make money somehow, because he's definitely not gonna do it.
The guy got 2 notes off of me for the hammer thing, you know? He's a betting man. And we'll hear more about this KC Luchador, sure. But nonetheless, a big win for the Masked Assassin here in his debut on Tuesday Night Power. As we carry on with the action, it was incredible to say the least. This next match, fans, I've been a part of some crazy scenarios, but this one is way up there on the scale as D-Man Smoke set to make his ROS debut against Puerto Rican Hector, my co-host, my brother from away another mother. This match was one that all wanted to see, as for the first time ever, it will be Mr. Sazon, Puerto Rican Hector, and D-Man Smoke facing off in the ring one-on-one. It's never happened before, and that alone had the arena buzzing. The smoke filled the ramp as D-Man Smoke made his way out to a roar of boos coming from the sold-out Mercedes-Benz Arena. For those who aren't aware, D-Man Smoke has been one of the most coveted men in sports entertainment nowadays, not only for his in-ring toughness and wrestling IQ, but also he holds the keys to a man that goes by the name of the Kaiju. Of course, I'm talking about the Korean Kaiju, who can be seen, by the way, on Thursday Night Smoke this Thursday right here on YouTube. You see how I'm best at this. Tune in as Kwansu and Mr. Adams defend their tag team championships this Thursday against Venom, the Postman, and Nappy Boy. Back to the action. D-Man looked focused on sending a message here in this big-time clash on live TV. He said it all week on social media. He was going to make an example out of you. The music of Puerto Rican Hector played on the sound system, and fans had a bit of a mixed reaction for the former PWR World Heavyweight Champion as he sprinkled his dirty little fingertips and mocked fans who also had their fingers sprinkling as well. The superstar is a former PWR World Heavyweight Champion, as we know, and the current co-host of Tuesday Night Power. Hector looked to be well rested and fed, by the way, and seemed to be reaping the benefits of the large guaranteed deal he just recently inked in his new deal with Reality of Smoke. He didn't make eye contact at all with D-Man as the referee checked both superstars while Mr. Smoke kept his eyes the whole time on Puerto Rican Hector and even blurted out, "Tonight, your life changes forever, boy," he said to you. Oof. The Sultan of Sazon laughed it off as threats have come to him for many years, and he's always been able to shake every one of them off and rise above it. The bell rang and we were off. Hector came out, guns blazing as most expected, as he ripped 4 or 5 shots to the face and the body of Mr. Smoke. Smoke backpedals Hector, then whipped D-Man into the ropes and up way high in the air for a nasty back body drop. Cameras flashed as Hector sprinkled his fingers and fans joined in. But just when Puerto Rican Hector was celebrating, D-Man rolled him up from behind quickly for the 1, the 2, but Hector kicked out. And when he popped up abruptly, D-Man had his hands up, bouncing up and down on his toes, as fans were even locked more into this matchup now more than ever, as Hector knew he had a fight on his hands. The two paced around for a little bit as D-Man then went low for a waist lock and then took Puerto Rican Hector down hard to the mat with a takedown. Fans who were watching Mr. Smoke for the first time were truly impressed with his ability. He held on to Hector and transitioned to a belly-to-belly and took Hector off of his feet once again, quickly pinning Hector for the 1, the 2, but he was able to free himself in the nick of time. Did Puerto Rican Hector, that little slithery son of a gun? Oh, shit, you're right here. That's when the fans erupted because for the first time in quite some time, ladies and gentlemen, we got a glimpse of the Boricua Kid. For those who don't know, the son of the former world champion and my co-host, Puerto Rican Hector, and fans absolutely adored the future of this business, who has been recently dealing with some personal issues which hasn't allowed him to perform, but he seemed to be back and fans were on their feet at the sight of the Boricua Kid. And this also excited my co-host, Puerto Rican Hector, who quickly took advantage of the distraction and drove a super kick right to the side of D-Man Smoke's face. And right on impact, the lights went out. Pitch black in the arena, ladies and gentlemen. And excuse me if I get choked up here a little bit. As fans buzzed for almost 10 seconds, the arena was completely dark. Finally, only a spotlight on the ramp showed the Korean kaiju Kwon Soo panting and breathing heavily and sweating while holding on to the arm tight of the Boricua Kid, gripping him and pulling him closer to him as D-Man held his hands around the neck of the kid as a shriek from Puerto Rican Hector sent a chill through all of our spines as we heard it. Hector quickly ran after the duo, but they quickly ran off into the darkness as obviously this match didn't finish. Now, Hector, I hate to be the guy to do this to you, but I'm a journalist at heart. Fans out there want to know what exactly, first of all, was going through your mind at the moment you saw D-Man Smoke and Kwon Soo hovering over your boy. And also because we are currently trying to get more information on this situation. Have you heard anything? Have you gotten any phone calls, any information that would possibly lead to where your son is at this time?
The only thing I was thinking when I saw those two gutless cowards hovering over him is that for the first time in my life, I feel like a failure as a father because I did not protect my boy, and he came out there to help me and protect me, and I couldn't do the same for him. And as far as what's going on right now, I get little funny messages, little funny calls that just say he's okay for now, and they hang up.
Disgrace. Hector, listen, I'm sorry. You know that when you sign your name on a contract to wrestle in a wrestling match, uh, we never know what's going to come on the other side of this. This is totally unexpected, unacceptable, and I'm doing everything in my power financially. I'm using every resource I have to find some information on where the Boricua Kid is. If he's watching this program now, which he could be, quite honestly, because the sickness of D-Man Smoke and Quan Su would want to see your face live in reaction to what took place just moments ago. What would you say to not only your son, but to the people who took him away from you?
You guys want to make a point. I see it. And what better way to try to prove a point and try to make yourself feel bigger than what you really are in a new merged company than trying to take down one of the pillars from the company that got this. I'm just rambling. So you know what? As far as I could tell about you two, I don't want to use any foul language right now, but just know you want the smoke, you found the smoke. And to the kid, I know you're strong. Just stay strong. Just remember what I told you. You stay strong.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, again, the Boricua Kid in captivity currently, we do believe, we can't specify his whereabouts, but Quan Su, D-Man Smoke, just going to the utter lowest of lows to prove a point here in this new reality of Smoke era. Hector, if you need some time, all right, guys. Whoo! This is live television. This is what it's all about. Uh, Something you don't get other places. But I'm going to give my co-host a little minute to regroup, get himself together. I'm sure he'll be back with us shortly. This next matchup of the night was very pivotal as well. Excuse me if I'm a little shaken up by the developments. This has never happened uh, since I've been a part of pro sports. I think it's catching everybody off guard. This next matchup was the first ever championship matchup in PWR Tuesday Night Power. And I'm talking about the defending, reigning champion, the Power Surge champion, Toa the Warrior, will put it all on the line in a triple threat matchup against Shooter J, Mr. AK, and of course, one that everybody had their eyes on, the bad boy, Bubba Killings. A triple threat match was about to be on hand, and it would be the first championship match of this new era of reality of smoke. One we would be looking forward to. Toa the Warrior has quickly recently become a fan favorite around this place and one of the most revered superstars on the Power brand. Hold on here. Losing power, guys. Give me a minute. Technical issues, live shit. This is what it's all about. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hector, things are going wrong here. We could be losing power here soon, possibly. If we do, ladies and gentlemen, bear with us. We're having a power issue. We're having internet issues. We're having all kind of issues. We got the kid kidnapped by some sick people that have no clue what they're doing. Whew. All right, let's try to carry on. I don't know if we're gonna lose anything here. Hector, thank you for coming back. So the Warrior has quickly become one of the fan favorites here, and we get to see Bubba Killings for the first time, as well as Mr. AK, Shooter J. All three of these superstars stood in the ring as the champion handed over the most coveted hardware in this matchup to the official, and he let everyone know that it was time for the first ever championship match here on Tuesday Night Power. The bell rang and we were off quickly with Shooter J crushing Bubba Killings with a boot to the face and then he turned to drill one to the defending champion. Haha, but Toa was a very skilled veteran and saw it coming from a mile away, ducking it, and then lifting Shooter for the first Glock bottom in the new era of Reality of Smoke. Bubba Killings got down and got to swinging some nasty Southern hospitality right cross shots to the champ's face, causing him to hunch over. Killings then showed his unique speed and ability and timing by cracking Toa with the beautiful scissor kick. He pinned Toa for the 1, the 2, but Shooter J dragged Bubba Killings off, and the two began throwing shots back and forth to one another. Killings went to headbutt Shooter, who followed up with his own version of a brutal head crush. Boy, but that's when the Warrior came from out of nowhere and took both superstars down with a double clothesline and yelled, "Ooh, ah!" in his native tongue as the fans echoed the champion. Toa threw Bubba Killings into a corner and began drilling body shots to the bad boy. No Diddy, as Killings then reversed the champ and drilled massive chops to the open chest of Toa the Warrior, as fans wooed at every shot. But Mr. AK decided to crash the party and deliver his own shot as he leaped up high and connected on the midnight run, hitting Killings in the head and taking him down hard. Shooter then backpedals.
What the hell just happened? Technical difficulty.
Really?
Yeah.
From the internet or the?
No, not over here, over there. Him.
In his house?
Yeah. No, you good? I'm not.
What?
All right, we're back. What the hell? We're here. We're in the building. Can you hear me? Mic check 1, 2. Fans, I'm sorry. Listen, I gotta upgrade the equipment around here. Apparently, we're falling apart by the seams. We know what's going on with Hector. Now you see what's going on with me. But let's get back to this triple threat. I'm going to take it from the top on the triple threat between Toa, Shooter J, and Bubba Killings. This was a triple threat match that was about to be on hand for the second time, and it would be the first championship match of this new era of Reality of Smoke. Toa the Warrior has quickly become a fan favorite and one of the most revered superstars on the PWR brand, but could he hold off both two very hungry superstars in Bubba Killings and, of course, Are we getting hacked again? Are we back? All right. All three superstars stood in the ring as the champion handed over the hardware to the official, and he let everyone know that it was time for this first championship match on the Power brand. Man, I'm having a lot of things pop up on my thing right now. The bell rang and we were off quickly with Shooter J crushing Killings with the boot to the face, and then he turned to drill one to the defending champion. But Toa was a veteran and a skilled one at that and saw it coming, ducking down and then lifting Shooter J for the first Glock bottom in this new era. Bubba Killings got down and nasty at this point, swinging a Southern hospitality right cross shot to the champion's face, causing him to hunch over. Bubba Killings then showed his unique speed and timing by cracking Toa in the back of his head with the scissor kick as he quickly pinned Toa for the 1, the 2, but Shooter J dragged Killings off, and the two began throwing shots back and forth with one another. Killings went to headbutt Shooter J, followed with his own headbutt as the two were giving both each other concussions. But then the Warrior came from out of nowhere and took them both out. Both superstars went down after he nailed them with the double clothesline. And let's try this again. That's when we lost connection. Ooh, ah! Might be copyrighted. The fans echoed Toa the Warrior as Toa threw Killings into a corner and began drilling body shots to the bad boy, No Diddy. Killings, however, reversed the champion and drilled massive chops to the open chest of Toa as fans wooed at every shot. But Mr. AK decided to deliver his shot as he leaped up and connected on the midnight run, hitting Bubba Killings in the head and taking him down hard. Shooter J then backpedaled towards the Warrior and ran full speed towards him, but Toa had other plans in mind, sidestepping the rush and tossing Shooter J to the outside, over the top rope, and down hard to the outside flooring. Toa then picked up Bubba Killings and locked in that move, the kill shot, as he dropped Bubba Killings in the middle of the ring and pinned him for the 1, the 2, the 3, the winner of the match, and still your Power Surge champion, Toa the Warrior. Backstage, Toa, after his successful defense, caught KC Luchador paying out a customer that went with the slight underdog again, said KC. He said, I won't bet against you again, Toa, but I had a hunch on this one. Any thoughts on the successful defense of Toa the Warrior, walking out of this first ever Reality of Smoke event, Power Surge champion, but now, KC Luchador seems to like the underdog. What's your take?
Congratulations, Toa. You seem that you're going to be one hell of a champion.
Listen, this is not like yourself, and I can't expect you to be. You know, maybe I need to get T-Buddy in here for a few weeks till we figure this out. I don't know what to say. Look, I'm on the phone. The flip is, we got everybody on it. Know that, okay? We got everybody on this right now. Toa the Warrior, successful defense. As long as Shooter J doesn't walk out Power Surge champion, that's all that I care about. But this next match was also a match that I did care about because these two really lit it up, I should say, all week on social media. I'm talking about the Novelist of Hope, Crimson Wolf, going one-on-one with the reigning, defending Apex champion, a man who screams his name from the rafters, the Bronx Boomer. I know he's watching on the big screen right now. These are two very decorated PWR superstars who would open a new era here in the Reality of Smoke, facing off once again in a big time matchup. However, the tables have turned somewhat in this story, or should I say in their careers, because Bronx Bomber is ascending to the top of PWR currently, and Crimson Wolf seems to be spiraling out of control, many think. A new music, a new soundtrack that I've never heard before, something totally different. It was kind of comical if I had to describe it. It was all over the place, the song, much like the Reality of Smoke, this new version of Crimson Wolf no one has ever seen before. As Wolf made his appearance, he was wearing pajama pants and a tank top, Hector, and didn't look to have slept for at least a day or two. He laughed and giggled and was having a conversation with himself on his way to the ring, and even jogged around the ring several times before he seemed to feel it was okay to finally get in. Fans were confused at what to make of this odd behavior from Crimson Wolf as Bomber's music then hit and fans booed him out of the arena. Bomber still held the Apex Championship up high right at the television cameras and said, "I'm the most dangerous man in the company, eh? Not you, motherfucker," said Bomber as he walked towards the ring with confidence and swagger like he always did. But this is a new Bomber. This Apex champion Bomber is on a total different level, and fans could see it. The bell rang for this one, and this non-title new rivalry that has been brewing between these two superstars entertained all the fans fully. It was Bomber who took advantage of the loopy Wolf early on as he drilled a good 3 to 4 forearms to Crimson Wolf's cheek and then dropped him with an atomic drop. He then tried to go for the figure 4 leg lock on Wolf, but Crimson quickly drove Bomber off with his powerful legs. Crimson then got to his feet and Bomber charged towards him, and we got a glimpse of what the Crimson Wolf used to be, how special he can be, I should say, as he somehow, some way intercepted the Bronx Bomber and took him down with a brutal choke slam. He then picked Bomber up and had him in position for Amen, one of his deadly moves, and the fans knew it very well. But Crimson's mind was somewhere else, and he let go of Bomber suddenly and went to the outside of the ring and began talking to fans in the front row. One fan asked for an autograph, and he said sure, as he held his hand out for the fan to sign his hand instead of what they were expecting, to get an autograph from Wolf. The fan awkwardly signed her name on his hand, and Crimson smiled at the autograph and pressed the hand on his chest, seeming to be delighted. He turned around and looked down, and it was none other than the New York native himself, the Bronx Bomber, with a very stern look on his face and a hand in the face of Crimson Wolf saying, "Hey, do you realize there's millions of people watching you flip out right now, bro?" said the Bronx Bomber. "Oh, wrestling, that's right," said Wolf. He then nailed a chop to the chest of Bomber, who hunched over in pain. "Look, it's Quan Su," said Bomber. Crimson turned quickly to look for Quan, and Bomber drilled an uppercut to the chin of Crimson Wolf. Bomber then threw him in the ring and pinned him for the 1, the 2, but Crimson kicked out strong as fans got more and more engaged in this contest. The Bronx Bomber bounced off the ropes and leaped up high, but Crimson got to his feet and caught Bomber and dropped him with a power bomb. The fans stood as they expected Wolf to pin the Bronx Bomber for the big win. But he just stood there looking confused as the ref almost had to gesture for Crimson Wolf to pin Bomber, as he finally did for the 1, the 2, but Bomber kicked out, of course, after a few second delay. The look on Crimson's face looked to be a man lost at this point as he slowly got to his feet and Bomber was slowly stalking behind. Crimson looked to not even know where he was at as he looked up at the bright lights and started squinting his eyes as if the lights bothered him. That's all that the window of a New York filthy native needs as he exploded to the jaw of Crimson Wolf with the spinning heel hook. He then locked the lost Wolf, I should say, in the D-bomb, dropping him in the center of the ring and cuffing him for the 1, the 2, the 3, the winner of the match in an emphatic statement, the Bronx Bomber. Hector, I dare ask you for your opinion on this. A big win for the Bronx Bomber, the reigning defending Apex champion, but just as big of a story, this spiraling Crimson Wolf. What are your thoughts on this? You know about a man that's spiraling. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm sorry. Sorry, I take it back. Sorry.
Now's not the time to fuck with me, Scott. So, congratulations, Bronx Bomber. You finally accomplished something that's worth mentioning around here. Well, it's a new company, so I guess it is worth mentioning. And Crimson Wolf, you've fallen all the way down. You've hit rock bottom. So there's only one way to go from there.
Do you think he may need a little extra, some medical help? Do you think it's time to get his brain checked? What do you see out there with him looking at the lights and seeing it as if he had Bobber, but he just couldn't put his thoughts together?
Wow.
Remind you of anybody?
Reminded me of a few people. Maybe it's
All
time
right.
for him to get that checked out.
I agree with you, Hector. Listen, like I said, we're working on it. I got everybody on the team. We're gonna get, maybe by the time we get off the air, we'll know more, I'm sure. Let's keep going here so we can get down to that important business. And that's the most important thing, obviously, right now. But we got to get through this amazing card, the first night of Tuesday Night Power. This next matchup was another one fans were really looking forward to see. Tickets were selling as soon as this one was announced. I'm talking about the reigning, defending, face of reality, Dylan Mason, the Empower champion, clashing for the first time ever in a wrestling ring against Dump Truck, who on the way through Gorilla. We saw Mason getting ready to come out. Crimson acted as if he didn't even know who Dylan Mason was, as the face of reality just shook his head in disbelief as what was happening. Brother, are you okay? Said Dylan Mason. But then the Empower champion quickly locked in and focused as his music came on and the face of reality played on the sound system. The newly crowned Empower champion was excited for a new beginning and chapter in his life, his historic career in pro wrestling, and he vowed to fans all over the world that have supported him over the years on social media that it was only the beginning for Dylan Mason, and fans would soon get to know an entirely different superstar this go around. I'm truly excited. Not a person was sitting as Mason's entrance as the arena went up in volume and the anticipation grew for his opponent more and more, as just the loud music on the sound system with the bass and the drum over and over just beating as they all chanted dump truck, along with the beat. It was kind of hot, had everybody going. Finally, the larger than life superstar known as Dump Truck many have never seen before in a wrestling ring, but many have made his appearance on the ramp, and a roar of support from the Atlanta fans made Dump Truck feel right at home as he took a deep breath and took his time, taking all that love from the sold out arena in Atlanta. And he knew that he was in a big time matchup against a big time superstar here. Both stars got their final instructions from the referee, and we were off. Cameras in the back at this point show KC Luchador taking bets from numerous staff and catering people. It's KC, we got to get him help. Mason showed why many believe he is one of the most gifted wrestlers and one of the best ever pound for pound, as he unloaded an array of massive strikes to the legs and the stomach of the big man, seeming to attack what he would think is his weak spot. Truck went down to one knee, and Dylan Mason flew from off the ropes, where the big fella, however, shoulder smashed right into Mason, taking him down hard, and you could clearly see the power advantage from the big man. He bounced off the ropes and leaped up for an elbow drop, which landed right on Mason. He then pointed to the second turnbuckle as fans stood to see what this Dump Truck could be thinking. He then leaped from the second turnbuckle and connected on a 3-star splash. He quickly pinned Mason for the 1, the 2, but the face of reality was able to kick himself free early on in this one. Dump Truck got Mason to his feet, and he then backpedaled and ran towards Mason, but Dylan Mason timed it perfectly and leapfrogged the Giant. He then placed a perfect drop kick right to Dump Truck's face, sending him backwards. Truck used the ropes to sprint off and back towards Dylan, but he was met by the devastating Pele kick that has made Dylan Mason the face of reality legendary around these parts. He pinned Truck quickly for the 1, the 2, but he kicked out as Mason looked in at the official, but then quickly locked in a headlock on the large head of Dump Truck. But Truck used his power to backpedal and send Mason back first into the turnbuckle. Dylan was hurt at this point and on one knee as Truck signaled for a big-time spear, and this would surely do it as the fan sensed it coming, but so did Dylan Mason, who instead had other ideas. He connected on a flying Dutch knee smash and then signaled for the Blood Eagle, locking it in on Big Dump Truck, dropping him in the middle of the ring. Boom! As he quickly pinned him for the 1, the 2, the 3, the winner of the match, your Empower champion, the face of reality, Dylan Mason. After the match, Mason helped Dump Truck to his feet and even gestured a respectful clap towards Dump Truck. What are your thoughts on this? I want to know what KC Luchador bet on this. But more importantly, Hector, what are your thoughts on the debut of Dump Truck? First time you ever saw him. But again, Dylan Mason, too good, too fast, too sweet. What do you think?
Well, Dump Truck, to have your first match with Dylan Mason must be the honor of your life. Because Dylan Mason is legendary. And I've been in the ring with Dylan Mason. And you're one of the people that bring a smile to my face when I think about you, Dylan Mason. And I'm trying to make the best of a very uncomfortable situation right now. So thank you for doing what you do. And everything that I just said about you, Mason, I feel the same way about you, Toa. So.
All right, let's carry on. Thank you for the words, Puerto Rican Hector. I'm definitely going to need you after this one because this one is what they call in the streets a stew banger. That's right. It's a stew banger production because it's a triple threat matchup, but it's not just any triple threat. The winner of this matchup would go on to become the #1 contender to go on to face Mel Walker for the longest reigning championship held in PWR, the Powerhouse Championship, of course, held by Mel, the fucking legend Walker. The 3 superstars that would be trying to become this #1 contender. #1, Chris Lassiter. The next guy, Motherfucker, better known as the Artist. And of course, a newcomer to me, but many people out there in the universe seem to really know a lot about this guy that goes by the name of the Villain, Craig Harris. And he would turn heads in this one, but we'll talk about that soon. Cameras pan to the locker room of the tag team champions and the Powerhouse champion himself, Mel Walker, as Venom was watching this one very closely from the back. There was no entrance music at all for the first superstar as PWR fans were getting their first look at the Villain, Craig Harris. There was a mixed reaction from the sold-out arena. Many cheered, but some booed Harris, who was spotted on the social media all week, making it clear that he wasn't to be taken lightly and he was going to turn heads in this one. Harris sported his custom Villain cane and a nice suave buzz cut for the ladies and, of course, his ponytail. The fans exploded for the next superstar, who has recently become a fan favorite around these parts since the passing of his mother. I could only be talking about Chris Lassiter, Mr. Durability, as he has made his way down to the ring, pointing immediately in the direction of Craig Harris and jaw-jacking back and forth with Harris. Lassiter looked ripped and shredded, already warm for this contest. Clearly, he got a sweat on in the locker room, and he was ready for action. But last but never the motherfucking least, it was the arrival of the artist that brought fans to their feet, who just wanted to get a glimpse of what the fashion sense or what fucker will be wearing for the first ever ROS event in history. He didn't disappoint the fans, sporting a custom Vera Wang PWR blue fitted wrestling gear with Craig/Chris Killer stitched on the front and the back. Woo. Clearly making his intentions clear. Motherfucker looked to be in incredible condition, clearly using the recent time off we've had to enhance his physicality. Clearly, he's been hitting the gym. The referee checked all superstars and signaled for the bell to kick this one off, and it was tremendous straight out of the gates. And it was Craig Harris showing and proving himself early in this one as he impressed fans with a mix of strikes and kicks to the head and chest of Chris Lassiter, and then taking motherfucker for a running bulldog. The fans got behind Craig Harris early on, who then scooped up Lassiter for a quick, swift body slam. He then bounced off the ropes and crushed fucker with another bulldog. He then pinned him for the 1, the 2, but there was Chris Lassiter to break up the pinfall, almost giving glory right off the bat to Craig Harris. Chris grabbed Harris by the head and tossed him to the outside. He used a clothesline to drive Craig Harris over the barricade into the PWR universe as fans started chanting ROS, ROS, ROS. Lassiter got back inside the ring quickly and then went for the day's motherfucker. He whipped fucker into the ropes, but the speedster cartwheeled acrobatically out of harm's way and then drove a brutal super kick to Lassiter's face. He then locked Chris in pile driver position, dropping Lassiter in the middle of the ring as he quickly pinned him for the 1, the 2, but Craig Harris dived back in just in time, saving this matchup. Lassiter rolled to the outside and tried to catch his win. Fucker's eyes grew wide and wider as he knew he had that one in the bag if it wasn't for the villain. Harris then gloated at the moment as he grinned in the direction of motherfucker. I told you I ain't no joke, bruh, said Harris. The two paced around as fans started chanting, "This is awesome. This is awesome." Harrison fucking clinched, but it was Harris who drove a big knee to the abs of motherfucker, slowing him down. Harris then added an elbow strike right on the kisser and then blew a kiss at motherfucker. I told y'all what I'm about. Y'all believe me now, said Harris. Harris ran towards motherfucker, but the timing of motherfucker is superb, and he spun around beautifully and connected with the devastating finisher, Kiss the Rings, as Harris was out cold in the middle of the ring. But before motherfucker could punch his name to that #1 contender spot, a cold, hard sound of a steel chair shot erupted throughout the entire arena, and what appeared to be a man wearing a dark gray hoodie stood over motherfucker, barking and pointing down at him, yelling and giving him the business. He then lifted his head up and lifted his hood off, removing the hoodies as fans exploded at the arrival of Tanstradamus, ladies and gentlemen. And no one in the arena could ever think that Tanstradamus would go barking up the tree of motherfucker. The newly signed superstar got on the ropes, enjoyed the moment as fans popped. He quickly got out of the ring shortly after as he left fucking Harris lying in the ring, and then fans began screaming at the sight of Chris Lassiter, who was slowly getting back inside the ring. He started bouncing up and down, getting his energy, and then delivered a blue in the face curb stomp to motherfucker, rocking him in the middle of the ring as he quickly pinned fucker for the 1, the 2, the 3, the winner of the match, and the new #1 contender for the Powerhouse Championship, Chris Lassiter. What are your, matter of fact, Hector, hold that thought, because we saw this backstage moments later.
I finally figured it out. Toastadamus figured out whose life he's going to ruin. Whose life he's going to humble. Because if there's one thing Toastadamus can't stand, it's someone who's so full of themselves. So full of themselves that the first thing I see, trying to do my research on everyone, the first thing I see is motherfucker going 8 minutes. 8 minutes! Man, let me tell you, if you go 8 minutes, you better give me something good. Because that's not what I saw. I saw nothing good. Pathetic. So motherfucker, you're the motherfucker that Toastadamus is coming for. To humble. 8 minutes. You gotta be freaking kidding. 8 minutes.
It's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes. R-O-S is so hot, I want to rip my clothes off. Did I just say that? On YouTube? Hector, first of all, #1 contender for the Powerhouse Championship. And by the way, cameras did show the reaction to Mel Walker, who just laughed it off, seeming to take Chris Lassiter lightly, which could be a mistake here. But nonetheless, Chris Lassiter, #1 contender, Powerhouse Championship. And then, what do you think about the message, so to speak, the disrespect of Toastadamus going right after motherfucker backstage, claiming to be selective at who he went after?
Congratulations, Chris. You've worked your way up from where you were, and you earned this. Not just because you won this match. And Todd Stradamus, I think when he laughs and says 8 minutes, I think he was like describing what his wife says to him. But what do I know? And but if he thinks that he can come on and humble motherfucker.
Hector, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but in all honesty, you should be the last guy worried about what somebody's wife is saying to them right now. Did I say that? I said that.
You're okay. I guess you still got your penitentiary state mind because you're taking low blows, but that's fine. Welcome, Tostradamus, and good luck humbling motherfucker.
Yeah, good luck with that. I agree. That has been something nobody has been able to do in years around this place. So we'll see what comes out of that. Whoo! You know what? I'll give the fans a treat. Should I give the fans a treat, a sneak peek into next week, or no? How about we talk about this? Thursday Night Smoke. A couple nights, the debut of the Smoke brand. Big championship tag team main event, as well as some other big matches. Talk about Heel, Deal, JTO. You got Beast and Walker. You got several marquee matches. Joker J against the heavyweight champion, Axel Savage. Make sure you tune in a couple nights. Hector, I know you won't be focused on that. But we got one more, bud. We got one more, and then we're going to get out there. We're going to get out there and figure this out together. The main event of the night featured the franchise, Brandon Buck, making his ROS debut, and the World Heavyweight Champion, the Foundation, Ethan Carnage, also making his first ROS debut. The main event of the first ever Reality of Smoke card is here, and it was a doozy as the franchise and the Foundation would meet for the first time ever. And this one, let's say, Hector, would never, ever be forgotten. If you're watching now, please do not tune away. Tell your friends if they stop watching, they need to watch the end of this. This incredible match. Historic, to say the least. The music of Brandon Buck played on the sound system. Many fans were aware in the arena what Brandon Buck was all about. One of the top stars of the Smoke brand had been preparing himself since the merger for this big-time main event matchup. And listen, we know that he's been in the gym working on stuff. We hear this guy's a gym rat. He's always adding on to his game. Buck waited in the ring for the PWR World Heavyweight Champion, the Foundation, Ethan Carnage. The two went nose to nose as the electricity in the building rose. As the crowd popped, the referee signaled for the bell, and the two both dug their feet into the mat and began slamming one another with haymakers. Spit actually flew from Ethan Carnage's mouth as one big shot landed from Brandon Buck, who followed this up with a roaring elbow and then a cross-body splash off the ropes. Buck then dropped a knee to Carnage's face and quickly pinned him for the one, the two. But Ethan Carnage was able to get himself free. The wily veteran Brandon Buck grinded away at a headlock, trying to keep Carnage down on the mat and from gaining momentum. Carnage was able to get to his feet and break free with a few sharp elbows to the abs of Brandon Buck. Then he poked the eye of Buck as fans booed Ethan Carnage out of the building. A couple European uppercuts from Carnage softened Buck up enough so that Ethan could execute a nasty German suplex. He then picked Buck up, he then quickly dropped a leg on Brandon Buck and then hooked his legs, pinning him for the one. But Brandon Buck kicked out, and the Foundation scowled at the official. 1, 2, 3, asshole, he said to the official. Now that's enough, Ethan, said the official, Mike Chestnut. Ethan pushed Chestnut, but Chestnut shoved back on Ethan Carnage as fans absolutely went crazy getting behind the official in this one. Brandon Buck then nailed Ethan from behind with the double axe handle smash and then picked Carnage up and drove him back down hard with the fireman's carry. The fans were excited to see Brandon Buck explode, and then he signaled for something big as he went up to the top turnbuckle, signaling for the 5-star splash. He leaped off for the big move, but Carnage got both of his knees up, crushing the ribs of Brandon Buck. Ethan pushed Brandon Buck off of him and then twisted his neck, loosening up. And then that, of course, is the signal for the Kamikaze driver as he locked the franchise in the finisher, dropping him down hard in the middle of the ring and pinning him for the 1, the 2, the 3, the winner of the match, Ethan. But Hector, just when we're about to go off the air, a familiar music played on the sound system, and the fans absolutely lost their shit as well as I did, because that soundtrack is the one everybody knows. The song played on the sound system, and it went like this. You're nobody till somebody kills you. And that's when every butt in the arena was standing, and it was, of course, the North Star, Big Hurt, coming out to a massive explosion from the fans in Atlanta without a mask on his face, holding a microphone in his hand. That's when Big Hurt said, Ethan, with your blessing, of course, I am ready to use one of my anytime, anywhere cash in part of my contract. I want to use that now, in all due respect, said Big Hurt. That's when Carnage got a mic with a scowl on his face, panting heavily from his big-time match with Brandon Buck. You want to be the guy so bad, said Carnage. I'll beat your stupid ass again if I have to. And that's when Hurt said, is that a yes, respectfully, said Hurt. The crowd started chanting, yes, yes, as Easton threw the microphone and handed back the championship title to the referee as fans started chanting, this is awesome. This is awesome. We were about to get a World Heavyweight Championship match here live, ladies and gentlemen, in the debut of Tuesday Night Power, as the referee held the Power World Heavyweight Championship high as fans exploded. The bell finally rang, and Hurt came out fast and used his freshness and advantage and used his power, getting in close to Ethan and clubbing him with right and left hooks to the face. Carnage was trying to fight him off, but Brandon Buck had taken him to the limit just minutes prior, and now he had to face a freshly, newly redeemed Hurt. Hurt drove Ethan down hard with a clothesline. He then scooped him up and took him off for a running power slam. He quickly pinned Ethan for the championship for the 1, the 2, but Carnage kicked out. Carnage kicked out. Hurt then used a spine buster to nearly separate the body of Carnage as he pinned him again for the 1, the 2, but Ethan Carnage kicked out again. Hurt and the fans couldn't believe it as Hurt had his hands on his head and ROS was trending on every social media platform there is. Fights Forever chants were coming from the universe live in Atlanta. Hurt shook his head in disbelief as he then set himself up in position in a 3-point stance for the Dexter Manley Spear. He then drilled Carnage with the spear, but Ethan then wisely rolled to the outside of the ring before Hurt could get a pin attempt, and he just couldn't believe it. He then quickly decided to follow Carnage outside of the ring, who then darted away from Hurt and quickly entered back inside. The North Star chased after, but he was too slow, and waiting for him inside of the ring was Carnage as he leaped in the air for a fist of the foundation, taking Hurt's finisher as he nailed Hurt, and it's got to be over as he pinned him for the 1, the 2, but Big Hurt got his right leg on the bottom rope, and the building was shaking at this point, it seemed, as Carnage went after the official, grabbing him by the neck in frustration as he cocked his fist back, threatening the official. Hurt was wobbly at this point, getting to his feet as Carnage turned to go after Hurt for more abuse, but the North Star somehow, some way found the intestinal fortitude to pull out his own fist of the North Star as he landed it flush between Ethan Carnage's eyes as Carnage dropped like a bag of rocks as Hurt hooked both of his legs for the 1, the 2, the 3, the winner of the match and new PWR World Heavyweight Champion, the North Star Big Hurt. The pandemonium was crazy as Pyro was exploding. Tapu Lele, the daughter of Hurt, came down the ringside with tears in her eyes as she hugged her dad. And finally, Hurt had reached the mountaintop. She tried to get the World Heavyweight Champion, but Ethan Carnage snatched it away and got inside the ring asking for a microphone, Hector. And that's when we heard from the foundation that he said, if I were to lose this to anyone, I'm damn sure hurt that I'm damn sure proud that it was you. However, at this point in time, I'm here to announce to the PWR universe that I've accomplished everything in this business. I've broken every bone in my body almost. It's time for me to get rest. It's time for me to get help. It's time for me to walk away while I still can. And now this place, Reality of Smoke, can be in better hands. That's when Carnage handed the PWR World Heavyweight Championship after kissing it, handing it over to Hurt. Listen, said Hurt, it's an honor to share the ring with you. And he held the belt, showing the fans as a tear dropped down the face of the Big Hurt. It's okay, Daddy. It's okay. Don't cry, said Tapu Lele. Ethan was leaving the ring when Hurt grabbed the microphone and said, stop. This is your ring tonight. You leave it last. Hurt dropped the microphone, grabbed his daughter's hands, exited the ring as Ethan Carnage broke down in tears as fans gave him a standing ovation as he sat with his legs crossed on top of the Reality of Smoke logo. What an emotional ride that the foundation has given us from beginning to end. And from Scott Mack, on behalf of the entire roster and everybody that's been involved with PWR, Ethan, we thank you. We give you your flowers. Hector, what a tremendous night. First of all, your thoughts. New world heavyweight champion. As we go into this new era, we have the North Star Big Hurt. What are your thoughts on that first? And what are your thoughts about the retirement live in front of us of Ethan Carnage? I'm sorry I have to ask you these things now.
Congratulations, Big Hurt. It was a long time coming, and you deserve to be the man. And thank you, Ethan Carnage, because you have been a mentor, a teacher to a lot of people in this game. And the people that were lucky enough to learn from you and become better performers.
Hector, look, we know that your mind is in a much deeper, darker place. All jokes aside, I do hope that we get to the bottom of the situation very soon. I'm praying for you and your family during this tough time. It's hard to celebrate a new champion at this very moment, but nonetheless, we're going into a new era. But I give you my word, I give you my bond that we will find a kid very soon.
One last thing that I want to say to these cowards.
How could you? How could you allow this to happen to our boy? I should have never allowed you to bring him into this sick fucking world of yours. You better find him, Rich, because if something happens to him, I will never forgive you.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Scott Mack. He's Puerto Rican Hector. We'll see you next week. Wow.